Hi folks, in this video we're going to be looking at the weathered black grey coat worn by the Institute Corsairs from Fallout 4. So without any further ado, let's cue the music. To start out with, I'll be applying a couple of thin coats of Vallejo model colour black all over the coat area of this mini. Now I've primed this with the grey primer, but you can use whatever colour primer you want. As this is generally quite a dark mini, you could use a black primer. I've left it grey due to the light skin tone and the white gun that I'm going to be doing later. And grey is a nice neutral tone. And you can use any black that you want with this, pick your favourite and do a couple of thin coats to make sure you get nice even coverage. Once the black paint is dried, it should look something like this. I do quite like the model colour finish as it's a little bit more on the matte side, which lends it nicely into painting fabric. For the first highlight, I'll be coming in with some Petroleum Grey from scale 75. And this is a really nice warm brown grey. It's very similar to Skaven Black Dinge from Games Workshop. What I'm going to be doing is painting most of the flatter areas of this coat, leaving the black in the recesses. If you look at the official artwork and the in-game models, the Corsair coats are really a dark grey rather than a black. So I'm using the black as a shadow and then using this very dark grey with a warm tint to paint most of the areas. And what I'm doing with this is doing this in sort of striped motions to simulate the direction of threads, and it allows me with this rough pattern to basically pick up the raised areas and leave that black in the shadow. The unnatural, not very smooth nature of this really allows for some texture to be pulled through and lend to the fact that this is a fabric ballistic weave coat. And this step's quite simple. We're just going to go all over the coat in this very loose directional painting. And if you feel that you've gone too far with the grey, you can always pull back some of the black in the shadow once the petroleum grey has dried. For the last highlighting stage, I'll be using Graphene Grey, once again from scale 75. It's very similar in brightness to Mechanica Standard Grey from Games Workshop, but the colour balance is a little different. I do quite like the tonal variation in the Graphene Grey. And with this, I'll be looking to pick out all of the folds in the cloth, the ribbing on the top of the shoulder pads, and looking to build out the textured fold in the cloth in the lower half of this coat. And just like the previous step, it is very much if you think you've gone too far with this and you're changing the tonal variation too much, you can go back in with your previous colour and sort of soften that transition back. There's no right or wrong way to do this, whatever you feel right to pull those different contrasts and textures out of this coat with this colour. If you keep your paint thin, especially with this much brighter transitional highlight, you can softly build up that colour, and you can also use directional strokes and slashes to simulate the build-up of texture, the lights hitting cloth threads. It's such a nice sort of almost blue tint on this grey, and it really allows that colour variation to pop out. And with black, it's very easy to go overboard into the grey, but these Institute Corsair coats are quite mucky, quite dirty, and very faded. So you can go almost to the point of a light grey, and it still looks like it's involved in the world, as it is 200 years old. Even though it's Institute stuff, the fabrics and stuff that it's been made with are pieced together from old pre-war technology. And with that, the coat on this Institute Corsair is now complete. The key thing to take away from this is the Corsair coats are grimy, uneven and splotchy in colour, so you can be really rough with your paint and still get a very convincing effect. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you if you made it all the way to the end. If you did enjoy it, why not consider subscribing? It's free of charge and it helps me out. So, until next time folks.